Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another week of 30 NSG on this Wednesday edition. On today's show, we're going to be talking about a couple of different topics. We're going to be talking about the PlayStation boss claims publisher anonymously dislikes Xbox Game Pass. We're going to be talking about Final Fantasy 16 selling well for the player base it's playing. We're going to talk about EA Iron Man using the Unreal Engine 5. And we have other stories as well. We're going to take a look at a review of the AEW review. I do not have a review for you because I did not play it to give a review. We will be playing AEW on Thursday night. I can give you a couple of thoughts on it once we look at the review. Good morning, Stealth. Thank you very much for the 5-month membership. There's another day, another great show. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Eddie Rodriguez, thank you very much. Good morning, folks. Thank you very much for the month membership, and Stealth gave a gifted membership. So if you are not a member of the channel, make sure you take that gifted membership from our community itself. Stealth with a very nice gifted membership for somebody that to take. Travis says, all right, review embargo is over, so it's time for the most important question. Is AEW game fun? My guess is that yes, but I want to hear your thoughts. You'll get my thoughts, the very few little bit I've played of it, once we watch the review, and then also you'll get it more on Thursday night. Play it with Sarge. Let's see what else you guys saying here. Let me move the chat over so I can actually see it. What's going on, Stealth? Travis? Jesse Mack? What's going on? Morning, Super Dave. All right. Let's go with the first topic this morning. PlayStation boss claims publishers anonymously dislike Xbox Game Pass. Jim Ryan claims that the game affirms believe Microsoft's subscription service is value destructive. Okay. Sony Interactive Entertainment boss Jim Ryan has claimed publishers are opposed to Xbox Game Pass subscription model. Ryan was speaking during a video disposition aired on Tuesday during Microsoft's ongoing court case against the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, which seeking block the Xbox maker's proposed $69 billion acquisition for Activision Blizzard. During this deposition, a Microsoft lawyer asked Ryan about the comments he made in PlayStation investors in a meeting that took place about a month after Microsoft had announced plans to require Call of Duty maker in January of 2022. Recounting the discussion, Microsoft lawyer said Ryan told investor that that Game Pass had driven them to make large acquisitions. Ryan reportedly continued, I talked to all the publishers, and they anonymously do not like Game Pass because it's value destructive. Quote, was that true at the time? The lawyer asked. And quote, I believe it has been true, Ryan responded. Quote again, you said you talked to all the publishers, did you? Pressed Microsoft lawyer. Quote, I talk to the publishers all the time, and this is very commonly held view over many years by the publisher, Ryan responded. Xbox Game Pass, launched in June of 2017, has become a central to Microsoft's gaming business, attraction over 25 million subscribers as of January of 2022, according to the company. If the offer members access 100 titles, including all first-party games, and launch for $10, 8 per month on console and PC, 15 for users to access the games on console, PC, mobile devices, including VI Cloud Gaming, Game Pass prices for console will rise in July. Microsoft CEO Nadell has claimed that the Xbox Game Pass subscribers play approximately 40% more games and spend 50% more than non-members, benefiting game publishers. Jim Ryan said on Tuesday he was expecting Game Pass to have attracted a larger subscriber base given the amount of money Microsoft has spent on the service. Elsewhere in his deposition, Ryan also asked how he felt about the recent Bethesda games being released on Xbox exclusive after Microsoft purchased the publisher partner company ZeniMax Media for $7.5 billion in 2021. On Redfall being released in May for Xbox Series X and S PC, he said, I don't like it, but I have no quarrel with it. On the upcoming Starfield not releasing on PlayStation, he said, I don't like it, but I also don't have views in the anti-competitive. During the deposition, Ryan also said that the SIE would also withhold details about the next console from Activision. The company is required by Microsoft. He also, he didn't answer the question, right? So Jim Ryan, we do know that he was trying to get exclusive for Starfield. Now, that might be a timed exclusive. We don't actually know. But he says, here that he's not against it, right? For Starfield. Starfield not releasing on PlayStation, he said, I don't like it, but I don't have a view of the anti-competitive. Because I know people look at this, and again, I'm not looking at this from an Xbox side or from a PlayStation side. I'm looking at this from a business side. Taking exclusive, if it's buy it outright and not put it on the console, that's exclusive, right? Because it's first party title now. But what PlayStation does is exclusivity, timed exclusivity. If it's a month, 6 months, 1 year, whatever it is. But in the gaming space, 1 year exclusivity is basically done and void, nil to the other console, right? I mean, so much so, let's take a smaller little section. When PlayStation had Destiny, where they had this strike that was only on PlayStation for 1 year, Xbox fans couldn't play that strike at all for 1 year. By the time it came out, we didn't care anymore about that strike. We didn't care anymore about that weapon. It wasn't a big deal at that time. We just kind of forgot about it. Same with Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy is not exclusive on PlayStation, but there's one mission, which is the best mission because Sony put money towards them and they got to put more time into it. It's a better mission. But it doesn't come out for Hogwarts Legacy for 1 year. Am I going to go back and play it? How many people are going to go back and play it? Now, that's just missions or timed exclusives for just inside the game. Then there's games that are exclusive for, 1 year. Like, what was that one that just came out that I already forgot? With the Magic. What was that one for Forspoken, right? Forspoken is a 1 year, right? Deathloop was a 1 year thing. And when they came to Xbox, no one cared anymore because the player base just dwindles and goes away because other things. So to get an exclusivity for 1 year does just enough as damage as if it was exclusive and never came out on your console at all, right? So that's something that just interests me a little bit as far as he didn't have anything to say when it came to, uncompetitiveness, because that's what it is. See, Sony's smart because they don't have to buy the company. They just pay them upfront money so they can get an exclusivity for a time frame. And that time frame is a lot cheaper than buying out the company, right? Because obviously, let's be clear, Sony doesn't have the deep pockets like Microsoft does to purchase stuff like that. But they can work the system by giving them money and for exclusivity for a time frame. Now, Spider-Man, obviously, right? Anti-competitive. No, not really. It's a first-party title. They had Insomniac Studios, then they purchased Insomniac Studios, and then Insomniac Studios now makes Spider-Man, and Spider-Man Movie Edition, right, is owned by Sony, not the video game edition, but they did buy Insomniac, who has the licensing for Spider-Man, before it canceled. So they have the rights on both sides now, right? They have the movie rights, and they have the timed rights for Sony Spider-Man right now on video games. Not that they have the license, because obviously Spider-Man has been in other games. Obviously, he's in Ultimate Alliance on the Switch. They don't own Spider-Man, but they do own Spider-Man for the movie rights. And now they're upset because Indiana Jones is not going to be on PlayStation as well. And you look at it and go, I have no feelings for Sony or Xbox as far as like, boo-hoo, cry me a river, right? You guys are both doing the exact same thing. And for one to call one the other is just hypocritical, right? So they're both doing the exact same thing. Sony is here today because they did the exact same thing Microsoft is doing to other companies back in the 90s, hence why PlayStation became one of the bigger and best PlayStation or best consoles during the 90s, because they were getting exclusivity, right? Taking straight up games and putting it on their system and no one else could get it. They were doing the exact same thing. So, kettle call. It's just mind blowing to me. We're talking about Sony Ponies Spider-Man. We're talking about PlayStation boss claiming that when he got asked if he's let me get the quote for you so I don't misquote him. He's talking about on Redfall being released on May of Xbox Series X. I don't like it, he says, but I have no quarrel with it. On the upcoming Starfield not releasing on PlayStation, he said, I don't like it, but I don't view it as anti-competitive. Of course he doesn't look at it as anti-competitive, because he would do the exact same thing. They were in the process of making Starfield exclusive, timed exclusive, or exclusive, we don't know, okay? But exclusive nonetheless. So of course Jim Ryan is not against he doesn't think it's anti-competitive because that's what Sony does. They do the exact same thing. So it's funny to me that Sony people look at Microsoft and say, well, it's different than what PlayStation is doing because they're buying out the companies, which is different than the time exclusive, which is only like a year, but still does the exact same thing, right? Because after a year, no one cares about that game anymore because the player base has moved on to something else. That game's gonna suck. Which game, Stealth? Mike saying Sony is smart might need to be my new ringtone. Okay. Let's make it simple. New IP exclusive, yes. Established franchise that's been on everything, no. But you can't do that either because each of the things is different. New contract, new licensing agreement. Doesn't matter if it's the IP. If they wanted to play Starfield, grab a PC or Xbox and shut up. Real gamers play games on all systems, not just one. Also, on top of that, it's on Game Pass. Not true? What's not true, Travis? What's not true? Spider-Man and Last of Us were huge on PC. Huge. What's your definition of huge, Travis? What's your definition of huge? You said after a year, no one cares. Yeah, what do you think is huge? How many? Let's look on how many Spider-Man copies sold. Let's see, Spider-Man. I can't wait to prove you wrong again. Spider-Man sales on PlayStation. Okay. Let me look at it real fast because I don't want to misread or because you're saying huge. Okay, let's see. Marvel Spider-Man received a number of accolades, including being named one of the best superhero games ever made. It became one of the fastest-selling games of the year and the best-selling PlayStation 4 game of all time, selling over 13 million units by August of 2019. Came out not right. 13 million. Now let's look at these huge numbers that PC brought in. 1.5 million copies sold. Huge. Oh my God, it's gigantic. Look at that. What a gigantic number. Sold like hotcakes. Spider-Man Remaster on PC, huge only for mods. Still only sold 1.5 million copies. Right? The Last of Us also didn't sell very well. Actually, I'm pretty sure The Last of Us PC port let's see. Oh yeah, huge numbers. Huge numbers. Last of Us Part 1 PC port has reached each game managed to sell over 368,000 copies. Clear the floor. Clear the floor. Gigantic numbers, right? My point was there's still an interest. My point was that people lose interest. If a giant 100 million people can play the game and nobody cares after a year and a half, this is the sales numbers you get. 200, 368, 1.5. I mean, it's Spider-Man, by the way, right? Here's what Spider-Man, where a brand actually people know and they sell 1.5 million copies. And then you have Last of Us that sells just over 250,000 copies. Come on, Travis. You're delusional. You're delusional. If you think a game that comes out on day one and someone a year later still has interest, of course they still have interest. It's the same interest as people get it when it's on sale at $15 or $30. That's the interest of sale. I'll pick it up later. It doesn't really matter. Out of sight, out of mind. New thing comes in and people buy that instead. What's the debate? How long after release is better for games to release on PC? No, Paul. I said that because Jim Ryan, we read an article that Jim Ryan was talking about. Does he like that games like Redfall or Starfield were exclusive? He doesn't like it, but he doesn't think it's anti-competitive. I said, of course he doesn't think it's anti-competitive because he's doing the exact same thing over at Sony with timed exclusives. I said timed exclusives are just as bad as buying exclusive because majority of the population will not pick it up afterwards. Travis said that Spider-Man and Last of Us sold really well. And I brought up that Spider-Man sold 13 million copies in 1 year on PlayStation. And then on PC, it sold 1.5 million copies. What, 18 months later? Not even. Long time after, right? The interest is not there. So it literally knocks out the legs of the competition if you do a timed exclusive. Then we're talking about Forsaken. We were talking about little missions like what Destiny had with strikes or dungeons. We were talking about what was the other game? What was the other game I said? Oh, Hogwarts Legacy with their standalone mission that they have. All right. So Sony, I said, is smarter because they don't pay the upfront cost of buying the company to make it exclusive. They just nickel and dime. Because they don't have the deep pockets like Microsoft. Microsoft says, well, what are we going to do? Because you're getting a bidding war, right? This is how business works, right? If Starfield was being timed exclusive because we know it was going to be exclusive for PlayStation 5 at some point, right? So they paid for a time frame, but we don't know what that time frame was. If it was a 1 year, 6 months, 1 month, whatever it was, you get in a bidding war then. So let's say Microsoft comes in and says, well, we want it exclusive. And they're like, well, we already have a bid. So they start bidding back and forth. So Microsoft just said, no, we're going to buy the company. We're going to buy the company, right? Because they have the pockets to do it, where Sony's doesn't have the pockets to do it. So they're like, all right, we'll give you $10 million. It will be a time exclusive for a year. And again, I'm being very generalistic there because I don't know what the deal was. But they do the exact same thing that they're claiming that other people do. So, of course, Jim Ryan would come out saying it's not anti-competitive because that's exactly what they do. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. All I'm saying is, you can't throw stones at a glass house. And Jim Ryan knows that because he'd be a hypocrite. They're both hypocrites. Both companies are hypocrites. Humans have goldfish brain, cockier spinal attention spans, myself included. Sony released on PC a year later to squeeze a little bit more juice out of the game. Sure, but Sony came out in 2000, or Spider-Man came out in 2018. When did it come out on PC? Just like a year ago, right? Did it not just release? 2022. That's like 4 years later. Now, obviously, that time frame is getting less and less, right? But you're still not going to get a huge player base. There in no way, shape, or form are you going to see a number of 15 million copies sold when it first releases, and then a year and a half later see those exact same numbers on PC port. You're not. People have lost interest, and the people that own PCs already bought it on console because they want it now. And then, of course, they're going to make extra money on it. Why not make extra money? But for Travis to say it sold so well, I mean, I think the player base for PCs is in the billions, and you sold 1.5 million copies. I mean, not taking anything away from Spider-Man selling 1.5 million copies. I would love 1.5 million of anything. Yeah, I'm not paying full price for years plus game when Sony decides to release it on PC port. If PC has year to date, I'm sure those numbers would astronomically more. Sure, Kylo, but again, time exclusivity is what we're talking about here. About Jim Ryan saying that it's not anti-competitive if they're exclusive to one console or the next. So that's what it is. That's what we're talking about. Also, there's a possibility that the newcomer to a Sony IP or PC might end up investing in the PlayStation for future releases. Sure. If that's true, shouldn't Sony be commended for using their money better than Microsoft? What do you mean commended? What do you think they're going to put out their job application when they well, see, we know how to work our money. They don't give a shit. Microsoft is going to be, they're a $1 trillion company. They're literally 20 times the size of Sony. They could pay cash money where Sony has to use a credit card and pay later. Right? Who cares if they're commended by anybody? What does that do? Nothing. Time frame depends on the popularity, and it's a first party or third party. Regardless if it's first party or third party, 1 year later in video games, Diablo's been out for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. That's like an eternity in video game time. An eternity. Okay? Like, if you bring out a game, I mean, look at movies. Look at the movies. A movie comes out, it makes a majority chunk of its money on the first weekend. Then the second weekend, it drops off anywhere between 60, and unless you're the Flash, 80%. Okay, you lose 80% week over week. And then the following week, you'll lose 50 to 60%. You think someone's going to go to the theater if they kept the movie in there for a year? Let's just say AMC had the rights to show a movie in just that AMC theater. And then 1 year later, it came out and other people could watch it. How many people do you think are going to watch that movie in theaters? Nobody. They would go to a dollar theater or wait for it to come on some HBO or something like that. Because people want to watch it now. Entertainment is now. Not a year from now. Now. And yet, what you're saying is that Sony is doing the same level of damage to the opponent without throwing as many blows. Right? They're doing the exact same thing. They're chopping him off at the legs instead of just pushing him out the window. Right? They're chopping him off at the legs, and they can't do anything for 1 year. Their hands are tied. It's genius. It really is, because they don't have to pay $7.3 billion for a company. But Sony looked at it and said, hold on, we need to buy Bungie because they're making moves and we need to make moves. It said in the article, we have to make big purchases. My PC from 2014 can handle the same that came, and I doubt that 1.5 million out of the billion can handle the PlayStation 4 game. To be honest, I think what Microsoft is doing is better, spending the money better on its own assets rather than getting into a bidding war. Exactly, Paul. That's what I was talking about. If Sony says we'll give you $10 million, they don't know that price point. Right? Just assuming Sony comes over to Starfield and says we'll give you $10 million. And again, I'm speculating here. I don't know the exact numbers, right? So they came over to Starfield or Bethesda and said we'll give you $10 million for let's just say it's 6 months, 6 months exclusive. Okay. The amount of advertisement and the stuff to show that PlayStation, you could play Starfield first. That's huge. Chops out the legs, especially if it's a year. But if it's 6 months, now Microsoft is stuck for 6 months. They're like, well, yeah, we're going to have that game too. And Xbox fans are like, well, this sucks. I got to wait. And then other games start to come out. And other things start to come out, and they don't want to get in a bidding war because if they don't know it's $10 million, they're like, all right, well, what do you think they offered them? We'll give them 15. They're like, well, they came in at a higher price. It's like buying a house. You know what I'm saying? If you guys have never bought a house before and someone else is interested in it, if anyone's interested in it, you actually don't know if there's someone interested in it. They just keep coming back and forth and going, yeah, no, we have a better offer. We got a better offer. Yeah, no, someone's offered a thing. They're gonna buy today. You gotta make a choice. What do you got? It's just like buying a house, right? So instead of Microsoft going and doing that whole dance, they're like, hey, fuck it. 7.5 billion. They got ESO. They got World of Warcraft. They got all these other games. Totally worth it. Okay. And they made the purchase, right? And then people look at it and go, well, this is unheard of. Like, business is supposed to be fair. Right? Business is supposed to be fair. It's like getting in a street fight with someone and someone going, oh, you got him a low blow. He bit his ear. There's no rules in fighting. There's no rules in business. When you're trying to get something, you're going to pay for it. That's just the way it is. So if Sony is doing the timed exclusive and Xbox is just buying outright, great. Your own personal ability going, I really don't like the way that Microsoft is buying all these people. Sony is taking these companies and they're fluffing them up and building them up and they become devs and they make games for them. And Xbox is like, oh, let's just take you and pull it over. There is no fairness in business. They're going to do what they have to do to survive, and that's the rule of business. Do what you have to do to survive. If it's not your game, buy the game. If you don't have the developers, buy the developers. Hey, I look at this when people say, well, it's not the same when Sony taking a studio, building it up, and they make the first-party title game, and then Xbox buying a first-party title game. It's the exact same. It's business. That's exactly what it is. In reality, the exclusive hurt more than. Yeah. Oh, I agree. Bad period. I'm just saying that Sony is fighting smart. Xbox is fighting hard. I don't think they're really fighting hard. I think they're just both doing the business that they have. Sony doesn't have the deep pockets. They have to do what they have to do. Microsoft has the big pockets, and they can do what they want to do. Starfield was on PlayStation 5 only. I would buy a PlayStation 5 for it alone. So would have worked. Yeah, exactly. My friend just said exclusives sell consoles. I said the Xbox shouldn't have any exclusives as they aren't trying to sell consoles anymore. They're trying to sell Game Pass to the consoles as a bonus. Yeah, but you're looking at that statement wrong, Travis. Game Pass is the console, right? You're still looking at plastic box versus plastic box. Game Pass is the console. That's what they want you in. They don't care. I mean, obviously, they're getting money more if you buy the game, right? Just outright. But they want you in Game Pass because if you're in Game Pass and they have games in there for you, you're going to constantly stay in Game Pass. WB is in danger zone right now with almost broke and might sell off their entire business pretty soon if WB doesn't play smart enough. Well, Jesse, they're in such trouble. They were already $50 billion in debt. And now The Flash lost money. Black Adam lost money. And many other films have lost money. So they're in hot water. This segues to Final Fantasy 16 being a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Right. And that sells consoles. That sells things. We'll talk about that in just a second, Titan. When COD was at its peak during the 360 era, being 360 felt so good. Get to the DLC a month before PlayStation 3. But then once the tables turned during the PlayStation 4, it felt shitty being on the other side. Exactly, Kylo. And you see that? Just a month before PlayStation 3. 1 month before PlayStation 3. And that was a big turning point for them, right? Because the 360 was actually like pretty competitive in that time. That's the golden age of Microsoft and their Xbox. One rule of street fighting is you don't get into street fighting. Xbox strategy is to buy the cow. Sony raises it from the calf. Microsoft wanted to compete with Sony high quality in games, so they had to buy studios. But you're right. The bottom line is yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It doesn't matter, right? You can take a side. I don't have a side, right? I like gaming, right? But to look at one company and go, it's not fair that they're buying the company so they can compete. There is no rules in business, right? There's no rules. They can literally shake each other's hand, be buddy, and then they go to a courtroom and they start tossing shit at each other because why? Better for their side of the business. That's it. Sounds like competition to me. Well, that was just me ripping on my friend and was messing around. 360 was back when Xbox gave a shit about the gaming good games. It's a different time. What rules? What rules exactly? If you think Sony is a good guy, you've already lost. There's no, but Paul, right? There's no, look, anybody can like who they like, but to sit here and say one side's worse than the other, I mean, it's just silly. It's just silly. Games have always been taken over by bigger companies. Not sure you have a side. You're clearly a Nintendo fanboy. Do you like how Nintendo doesn't like evolve itself in this stuff? And do you like how both sides, we talked about this yesterday, Xbox is like, yeah, you know, they're not competitive. They're not in there. Meanwhile, Nintendo's going, they're not talking about us. Look, they showed a pie chart with us not even in it. Right? They're saying that Sony has 80% of the market. Yeah, if you take the other 40% out. It's so ridiculous. So let's talk about the since Titan brought up Final Fantasy 16, right? There's a tweet here here that I had of Final Fantasy. Now I can't find it. Give me a second. Let me find the Final Fantasy. Okay. So Final Fantasy, and this is not a crack at Final Fantasy. I look at this in a kind of different way, right? People look at this as the install base, like how many people are buying this game, right? So Final Fantasy has sold over 3 million copies worldwide since launch. I can't read the article because it's in, not in English. So it says great results. It says great results. Consider that the PlayStation 5 current install base last reported at 38.4 million, meaning 3 million of the 38.4 million because it's only on PlayStation 5, right? For comparison, Final Fantasy VII Remake launched with 3.5 million in around 100 million PlayStation 4 install base, and Final Fantasy 15 launched with 5 million on 50 million PlayStation 4 install base and Xbox One 2. Now, I look at this and go, I've made this comparison before, right? I look at games that what they sell and what they sell the next time around. Now, obviously, when you have less consoles out there, you still have your keeping up with the Joneses people that want the game ASAP, right? So 3 million people bought PlayStation or Final Fantasy 16 for PlayStation 5, which tells me if 3.5 million on Final Fantasy launched on PlayStation 4 out of 100 million, and 5 million people bought PlayStation or Final Fantasy 15 on PlayStation 4 as well, there's 2 million people. 2 million people that were fans of Final Fantasy that don't have a PlayStation 5 yet. Whatever case that is. Maybe they can't afford it yet. Maybe they couldn't find it where it was. Maybe they just can't get it now. But there's people missing. Because it's only on PlayStation 5, they lose it. Now, obviously, 38.4 million, I don't think this number would change very much if it was 100 million people had a PlayStation 5, because there's still that player base that's always going to get the game when it comes out. Then you'll get the other people that come down the line that get it later, and they might get a total of 5 million, right? 5 million is 5 million. Doesn't matter if it's a year over or whatever. That's what it is. So just like God of War, just like Forbidden West, all those first-party title games for Sony has their player base. 10 million people buy the game at a certain point, like 5 million right when it comes out, and then 5 more million over the course of the year. And that's the player base. So they're missing. There's not enough PlayStation 5s in circulation right now, and they're losing money because if they choose to take a game and not make it for PlayStation 4, then they lose the money because those people haven't moved over yet to the PlayStation 5 if they can't get it. Maybe they're waiting to see, like myself, if they're coming out with a PlayStation 5 Pro, right? So it's very interesting. Yes, it's good numbers. Yes, it's a good install base for the amount of people that they have. 38.4 million, and there's 3 million copies sold. That's physical and digital from them, is what they said. And also remember that Final Fantasy 16 is a JRPG with West have done the best to make that a bad word. Regardless, though, Travis, the player base is the player base, right? Every time a Souls game comes out, there's that 3 to 5 million people that get it. Not until they came out with Elden Ring did they push over that number because they made it more opened up to the normies, I guess you could say. The mainline Final Fantasy games are killing Square. I mean, I don't know how much it costs to make the game, Paul, but 3 million copies, I mean, that's still good. What is that, 210 mil? Is it a $70 game? Is it a $70 game? If they sell 1 million copies, it's 70 million, right? If they sell 2 million copies, it's 140 million. And then if they sell 3 million, it's 210 million. They've said they can only fund the mainline games now from money made from the mobile and MMO sales. Really? So it'll be interesting. It's also interesting that they made it for Xbox, the Final Fantasy 15, and it did sell 5 million on a 50 million PlayStation 4 install base. I don't like this number that they put here. The install base for PlayStation 4 when Final Fantasy 15 came out was over 100 million, not 50 million. I know it says 50 plus million, but that's like plus minus 50 plus. It should have been like 100 plus million. So I don't really like this stat here of Final Fantasy launched with 5 million on a 50 million plus PlayStation 4 install base and on Xbox too. Like I don't like that number. This is a false number right here. PlayStation 4 is like one of the top selling consoles of all time. Is it not? Let's see. No, that's not what I want. Let's just do this. PlayStation 4. Yeah, 117.2 million as of now. and it released in 2013. So to say it's 50 million plus, they probably had 80 million units out there by 2015. Or no, when did it come out? When did Final Fantasy 15 come out? No, 2016. Yeah, right. They had at least 80 plus mil out there. You know what I mean? I don't like that. I don't like when they do numbers like that, right? They're lowering it. They're like, oh well, reports at 38.4 million. Well, this one only sold 5 million at the PlayStation 4, and it actually percentage is a little lower. 3%, I would say, because I would say they're close to 100 million. 100 million. So they had 3% of the people, or 5% of the total player base, buy it Final Fantasy 15 on PlayStation. Not saying it's a bad game, not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that the numbers, that the install base, they're saying only 3 million sold. That means 2 million of your people are still stuck on PlayStation 4. When Final Fantasy 15 came out, when launched, the Final Fantasy Special Edition PlayStation 4, my wife still has it somewhere. Hi, silly. I just find it funny when they report numbers like that. 5 million ain't bad considering the problems they've had. Well, Cujo, let's be honest here. Problems don't mean bad sales. Cyberpunk 2077 sold 8 million copies when it was broke, buggy, and and just came out. And then once people knew it was broken, buggy, an additional 5 million bought it in the next 2 days. So, you know what I mean? Final Fantasy 16 is behind Final Fantasy 15 in sales too. Well, yeah, because it's only on PlayStation 5. Final Fantasy 15 was on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, right? It was across both platforms, but sold 2 million copies. More. Just on PlayStation. And on top of Xbox. I don't know what it sold on Xbox. They don't tell you numbers anymore. But and it sold more on Xbox. So let's just say it sold another 1 million or 2 on Xbox. So it sold 7 million copies, where this one's only selling 3 because it's only on the next gen, and it's only on PlayStation 5. When you factor in the years after the console release, Final Fantasy 16 is behind. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Titan. What I'm saying is that they're saying it's a good player base because 38.4 million people have a PlayStation 5, and they got 3 million sales on PlayStation 5. So they're looking at that going, well, it's doing better than this. But I look at that and saying there's 2 million people that would have bought that game, because that game is not going to sell 10, 15, 20 million copies. It's just not that type of game. Final Fantasy is loved by millions of people, but they're not going to go out and buy it every single time like that. Let's see how many, and I don't know. Let's see. Final Fantasy sales numbers all time. Do we have that? Final Fantasy Lifetime Series unit sales of 2014 to 2022 statistics. Now, let's see if let's look at this. Let's look at this. Lifetime unit sales generated by Final Fantasy series worldwide in September. Worldwide. We're 35 lifetime sales in million units. Oh, this is taking, okay, this is not individual. This is taking, yeah, I can't look at this. This is taking the series. So they had 110 million sold, and they sold 5 million. I mean, we can kind of look at it. I'm not going to look at this one. This is going to be too confusing. I need actual sales numbers here. Fandom. Okay. Here you go. This is something. Okay. This is something. So December of 1987 to March of 2022. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to try to make it as big as possible. Okay. Final Fantasy series multi-platform sold 173 million units plus. Okay. June 2022 to May of 2023, Final Fantasy 7 Remake integrated on Steam sold 700,000 units. December of 2022 to May of 2023, Christ Core Final Fantasy Reunion multi-platform sold 1.6 million. Final Fantasy 1 through 6 bundle on iOS sold 67. Is that's 67? Not 67 million, 67. April 23 to May 2023, Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, PlayStation 4, 94,000. April 23 to May of 2023, Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered, PlayStation 4, 32,000. April 23 to May of 2023, Final Fantasy 6 Pixel Remastered, 69,000. June 28 of 2023, Final Fantasy 16 PlayStation 5, 3 million. Right? I mean, it's not looking too good. Not looking too good. That's impressive. 67. Only 60. That's embarrassing to put that on a sheet. The iOS Final Fantasy 1 through 6 bundle iOS 67. 60. Tell me what went wrong with Avengers and why hasn't it supposed to? How much did they make? I have no idea. Are you talking about the video game, Water? Let's see, V charts. Final Fantasy Series JRPG consists of the following mainline games. All right, here you go. This is good as well. I think we can get something out of this. Final Fantasy 2.13 million. Final Fantasy 2 1.37 plus million. Final Fantasy 3 3.84 million. Final Fantasy 4 3.49 million. Final Fantasy 5 2.88 million. 6 3.8. Final Fantasy 7 14.10. That's astronomical. That's the last Final Fantasy that I played, that I remember playing, is Final Fantasy 7. Right? I dabbled in 11. Okay? I dabbled in 11. You have 10 through 12 is 20.8 million. Final Fantasy Online 1.7 million. Final Fantasy 12 7.7 million. Final Fantasy 13 2 7 million and 3.3 million. Final Fantasy 15 sold 10 million, but that's across multiple platforms. Okay? Multiple platforms. Then you have the Fantasy Remake 5 million, and then you have Final Fantasy 16, which we know is 3 million now, and Final Fantasy Rebirth, which I think is 5 million now as well, 5.7. So you can see that the numbers there are not going to fluctuate much more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. You could sell 100 million units of PlayStation 5, and you're only going to get maybe 5 million, 7 million, if that. What's 11? It looks like 11's one. That's 11 online, 1.77 million plus. Final Fantasy 12, 7.71 million. Right? Like, there's the point. I would almost look at this as Final Fantasy, because it comes out so often, is what we're seeing right now happen to Marvel's Avengers in the movie industry. Right? Like, it started off slow, and then it hit its peak, and now it's just, is that fatigue? Do people have Final Fantasy fatigue? I mean, the article here is saying that they're impressed by the 3 million sales because of the player base in the PlayStation 5. But looking at this, it's about par for what it is. It's been like 32 years. Oh, I know. But I'm saying, like, you look at what it started at. Back then, 2.13 million people playing Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 7 are, like, up there for me. Like, that's what I remember playing. Those hit me, where all the rest kind of just blend together. Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 7. And I stopped playing. I tried 11, but that was it. That was the last one I tried, but I didn't beat it. The core of the Final Fantasy fans are getting older. Sure, but if you look at the numbers, though, hilly. The numbers in the beginning when we were younger are low. They're small. Big for then. Let me make that clear. Final Fantasy 2.13 million copies sold back then is like miraculous. Like is phenomenal, right? This is the sales numbers for Final Fantasy series. Right? So back then, the 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, that's astronomical. This is astronomical. The 20.8 million. When did Final Fantasy 10 come out? When did this release? 2001? No. When did this come out? $2001. Yeah, okay, it was 2001. Right? We're talking 21 years ago. That's astronomical. But 21 years ago, we're talking about the highest console sales in gaming at that point. I don't think so. Like one system, and it's not Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy 16 is awesome, but it's not Final Fantasy 7. It doesn't have the characters that you know or love in the main cloud. The games have been reviewing worse since 10 onwards. Yeah, and again, I'm not pointing it out that the game is bad in any way, shape, or form. I'm just pointing out that it says Final Fantasy has sold over 3 million copies worldwide since launch, and they're making it sound like this is this gigantic like victory. Like, let's take a lap. Victory lap. And I'm like, 3 million copies for Final Fantasy? That seems pretty low. And then when I look into it, I'm like, 3 million for 38.4 million units sold for PlayStation 4 is pretty impressive. But that number is not going to go up much more. Like I said, you could have 100 million PlayStation 5s out and about, and you're not getting, I don't think you're going to get over 5 million units sold for Final Fantasy 16. That's just the player base. Just the player base. It would have to be a phenomenal game. And I think that's harder and harder nowadays. In reference to what? Just trying to have a frame of reference for the conversation? I just gave it to you, Kudapapa. About how many copies have sold for Final Fantasy games? Based off of what they were saying on Twitter, that it sold 3.3 million copies, 3 million copies worldwide on a launch base of Final Fantasy 16 with 38.4 million PlayStation 5 units sold. And to look at the comparison, I look back at other Final Fantasy games, how they sold when they were on multiple platforms and when they were bigger platforms, like more platforms out there, when PlayStation had over 100 million units out there. By the way, 30, you were right. I have 160 hours in Diablo 4 so far. See? Based on your level, Water, I knew where you were. If the fan base is getting older, then test means that they are not attracting a younger base to replace it and like the franchise. That is saying something. Right. And again, I'll stick by it. I don't think PlayStation 5 could have 100 million units out there, and I still don't think you would have more than, like, a lot more than you have right now for what's sold for Final Fantasy. Paul says, I said Diablo 4 would sell more on release than Final Fantasy 16 would sell in a lifetime, and I was laughed at. Oh, I know, Paul. I remember, and I don't know if Travis is still here. I think Travis said that Final Fantasy would sell more than Diablo. I think he also said that another game would sell more than Diablo, and I think Diablo sold over 10 million units, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm still right, though. We don't know the final sales numbers for Diablo, but I think I'm still right. I think Hogwarts Legacy, I said Hogwarts Legacy would also sell more, and I think so far it has, right? I think so far it has. We don't know the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One numbers. he said that Resident Evil would sell more than Diablo 4. Which the remake? How much did that sell? Let's look at it. Let me look. Do we know? Do we have a let's see, Resident Evil for sale. Capcom sales update. Resident Evil 4 remake at 3.7 million. This is as of March 31st of 2023. Unless this number is wrong. Oh, this is actually updated as of June 6, 2023. Update platinum titles as of March 31st, 2023, but the article was written June 6 of 2023. Resident Evil 2, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC has sold 11.5. Yeah, but that's over 4 systems. 5 systems? 5 systems. A lot of people like to drink the Kool-Aid for stuff. People think, and this, I'm not saying individuals, anyone in the chat, in general, people think if you like a franchise, right? You love a franchise, you're like, that game is going to sell 1 billion copies, right? Like, you love that franchise and you want to see it do good because it justifies something in you that if you bought the game, then that game is the best game, right? And sometimes you look at a game. Resident Evil is a very popular game, but there's still a huge chunk of people that don't play that game, like apple juice. Yeah, one of the Capcom's best games of all time. You would hope it would sell well. Plus, it was a great remake. Sure, but let's be honest here. Resident Evil 4 remake was on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series. That means X and S. And 1 and PC, right? So we have 5, 4, X, S, 1, and PC. That's six units. And it sold 3.7 million units. That's pretty bad. Over the 5 or over the 6 units. Now, obviously, I think PlayStation 4 and the 1 are not really selling too well, so you can take those numbers and diminish those down. Right? And then 5, Series X, S, and PC. But overall, 3.7 over 6 consoles. That's not impressive. Are there other PlayStation 5 exclusives that sold more than 3 million? Oh, yeah. God of War sold 5 million copies in 3 days. Or 11 million copies, I think. Something like that. Let's see. God of War. Ragnarok sales. Highly anticipated God of War Ragnarok, fastest selling first-party launch game in PlayStation history. The action-adventure game followed up its March of 2018, sold more than 5.1 million units during its first week. 5.1 million. So, how come they didn't say anything? That's because I believe God of War Ragnarok is also on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, which even tells it more. Because there's 122 million PlayStation 4s in circulation. There's 38 million, maybe let's just say 40 million PlayStation 5s in circulation. So you have 165 million units of PlayStation out there that can play this game. It sold 5.1 million. Not taking anything away from that. That is phenomenal. Right? That is phenomenal. Off 2 systems, 5.1 million, but then they come out and they're like, well, Final Fantasy 16 sold 3 million off just the 40 million. I'm like, all right, cool, but you're not going to get more than that. I mean, look at God of War. 160 million units out there, and it sold 5.1 million. New Riders of the Republic season started, and they're adding skateboarding. Nice. People are also overestimating sales for total sales. They claim 173 million sales over the lifetime of the series, and I'm not seeing how they're getting the base on their evidence. Right. You just want PlayStation 5 sales. Okay. PlayStation 5. What came out on just PlayStation 5? We have, was it Ratchet and Clank? Right? Is this the one that came out? Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart? That can't be right. That's got to have, that has to have more sales than that. It didn't just sell 1 million copies, did it? 1.1 million? No. I don't believe that number. Wow. Okay. I stand corrected. 1.1 million copies. My goodness. Wow. In defense though, when Ratchet and Clank came out, not many people had a PlayStation 5, right? Not many people had a PlayStation 5. What was another one? You said Horizon? Was that just on PlayStation 5? That's just on PlayStation 5. 8.4 million units. Guerrilla announced that Horizon Forbidden West has sold more than 8.4 million. I'm pretty sure Forbidden West, though, is on both consoles, is it not? It's on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5? Yeah, it's on PlayStation 4. That's what I thought. So what's a game? What's a game that came out that's just on PlayStation 5? A popular franchise that just came out on PlayStation 5. Returnal. That's going to be a hard sale. Returnal sales. Returnal sold 6,573 physical copies within the first week of sales in Japan. It was the 15th best-selling retail game of the week. But what was it? That's 1,000. That's not millions. Do we have a sales number? 560,000 units. All right, well this is making my brain kind of think stuff here. So Final Fantasy, which is a huge IP, only sold 3 million. Right? That number's looking less and less impressive now. I'll be honest with you. Oh, I bet it is. We're looking at numbers of other PlayStation 5 games, Akuta Papa. So to say that Final Fantasy sold 3 million and people are like, that's fire, that's really depressive. Because that's like a really famous person going to an auditorium, like a stadium to sell out, and like nobody shows up. Right? That's a big, well-known name, Final Fantasy brand. We wanted a game, not a movie. I didn't play it. I don't have any I don't have any thoughts on Final Fantasy 16. I like and at the end of the day, I could see we're at a bar, Kylo. At the end, you just chug your beer and go, and this is all Game Pass's fault. I can see that happening. And this is all Game Pass's fault. God damn it. So Final Fantasy, I guess doing well. 3 million units for 40 million units out there. Congratulations of being the biggest brand that not selling well or is selling well. Demon Souls, 1.4 mil. But isn't that the player base though? What did the last Demon Souls sell, Titan? I've only played Final Fantasy MMO, which is good. The rest of the games never impressed me or interested me. Yeah, and again, Akuta Papa, I'm not giving shade to Final Fantasy 16. I'm kind of giving shade to the tweet saying that it's sold so well with 3 million copies. And you look at that kind of brand, like Final Fantasy 16 in the gaming space, like everyone knows, but yet it only sold 3 million. Every time I hear people talk about how successful Returnal was, it confuses the hell out of me. I mean, it's because and because and that's why. I made some good points there. Take notes. Take notes. I didn't play Returnal. I wasn't even interested in watching Returnal. Think about this. Fortnite has more monthly players right now than Final Fantasy games put together. Yeah. How about Minecraft monthly users, right? Minecraft monthly users. Monthly users is more than the entire franchise monthly as well, right? 176 million average monthly players in Minecraft. $176 million. Fortnite live monthly player details, 242 million in the last 30 days. That's crazy. That's crazy. Half the planet plays Minecraft, the other half plays Fortnite. But think about that number. It's pretty low for Minecraft if you think about it, because, well, one, it's not in its prime anymore. It's been out for what? 12 years, 13 years. It came out in 2009 when it first launched. Microsoft bought it in, what, 2014? What about Godfall? We forgot about that game. Everyone forgot about that game. I didn't even touch it. Wasn't going to touch it. I was like, nope, no thanks. I don't want Destiny melee combat mixed in with the microtransactions or whatever else they were going to do with that game. I don't even know about that game anymore. And remember, that was only on PlayStation. Wasn't that a PlayStation 4 or 5 exclusive for a period of time? Wonder how much first-person shooters res issues, overheating claims for hurting Final Fantasy 16? I don't know. Can you imagine? My God, dude. More active users than the entire population of 32 years of video games. Crazy. Every month. Every month. You put 32 years into a franchise, and the total sales numbers is less than Minecraft gets per month. Oh my God. You want, Jesse Mack, you want the Elden Ring? You want Elden Ring for monthly users? 40,000. Well, it goes back to December 2022. It says 40,000. I don't know how many people are playing now, but that's also Steam charts. So it doesn't keep track. It's a lot harder to keep track of a lot of the stuff. Let's see. Player count. Let's go to activeplayer.io and see if they can figure it out better. My browser doesn't want to do anything. It's like, no, I refuse. Why won't it? There it goes. Elden Ring online players an hour ago. And again, I don't know how accurate this thing is. We use this very loosely. Elden Ring live player count. Online players, 225,000. Active players in the last 30 days, 5 million. That's pretty impressive. I think he just wants to know, Paul, just to. I think he's just looking at it like a game like this, how many people are playing it. Sandbox for a story game on a monthly player doesn't tell you much, I would speculate. Right. But think about this, right? The Sandbox game, which a new game came out called Rooted, I think it is. I saw it in my feed. It's on Epic Game Store. It's an open world sandbox game, multiplayer or single player. It seems interesting. Sandbox games, man. Like, this is why games are making bigger and bigger. I mean, is Starfield? Would you consider Starfield, Hilly, a sandbox game or a story game, or did it blend the two? You see what I'm saying? Like No Man's Sky, 100% is a sandbox game. Starfield, I think Starfield is a sandbox game. It's an RPG sandbox game. 1,000 planets. My pushback on people is that Final Fantasy isn't as popular as people think. I've said this for a long time. Always got people mad at me. I mean, well, people are always going to get defensive because if they like the game and you say it's not popular, like, what are you talking about, bro? Sold 20 million copies a decade ago, or 20 years ago. Yeah, but the story game you're making bank on the sales alone 99% of the time. Sure. And I think that's why Starfield's got a good recipe, because you're getting it for the story. At least I'm getting it for the story, right? And then you stay for the sandbox. Blend, I would say. I think DayZ is the sandbox. I might would say it's survival. Yeah, but it's not is DayZ considered a survival? If you're playing against other people, that's just a multiplayer game. I mean, I guess let me take that back, because like Conan and stuff, you fight and die, but you still stay persistent in the game, like Ark, stuff like that. That's a survival game. I guess DayZ would be considered a survival game. Yeah, I guess it would be considered a survival game. But sandbox is usually synonymous with survival. Don't you have to survive a little bit inside of Starfield? Isn't there like probably not. There food and stuff like that? They didn't say anything, so I don't know. It's weird. DayZ is whatever you want it to be. It could be considered a survival and sandbox game. I think they both go hand in hand. Minecraft is a survival sandbox game. It's hard to know a total player population of Bethesda games because Skyrim has sold 60 million copies, but it also released like 15 times. Yeah. Look, I'm going to show you guys a number. You guys are not going to believe this number. Okay. You guys are not going to believe this number. Okay. I bring this up because everyone wants to shit on Fallout 76, right? Fallout 76. People want to shit on this game. They're like, "Oh, it's terrible." Bethesda, right? When the game came out, it was just a cluster. It was an absolute travesty when it came out. It's going to go down as one of the worst launches ever in video game history. Fallout 76. Okay, I'm going to bring this up. If I don't know why this not opening this website. All other websites work. This one does not. Come on. Do it. Come on. No? You don't want to work? Okay. Fallout 76. Now, again, I don't know how they figure these numbers out. I don't want to believe this because I can't imagine a game that had this many problems when it came out, that the last 30 days across all platforms was 9.2 million. 9 million people are playing this game that everyone hates. Okay. The peak of this was at 11.1 million of April of 2022. It dropped back down. It picks back up. March, it was 10 million. Now in the last 30 days, it's 9.2 million. They have a 500,000 drop off. For people like us who consume gaming content on a daily basis, yes, Final Fantasy is popular. But to the general consumer, they're buying Madden and COD. Yeah, that's true. 255th anniversary special limited straight quantum edition to the annual video game day celebration part 1 edition of Skyrim will be available in limited quantity for 1 hour. Latest edition, maybe. That would be... That's great, Hilly. Right. The Skyrim 255th anniversary special limited Starlight Quantum Edition. Working so late to make that reply. I cannot wait for the release. Like, it's insane. Like, do you understand that live service? Again, let's just compare. There's 9 billion people playing a broken game when it was launched, right? And they never left. They never left. Look, 9.8 million people played on June 30th, 2021. Oh wait, let me go back. Is there 2 pages? 2 pages? Yeah. January of 2021 is when it launched. It had 11.5 million monthly active users. Okay, and now it's got 9.2. So it only lost 2 million people over the last 2 years, and it fluctuates. And now they're coming out with another update. They're coming out with the what's it called? Atlantic City, right? It's crazy. So people look at certain games, they're like, that's trash. I mean, more people that bought Final Fantasy 16, which is a phenomenal game, supposedly, right? Crazy. What's nuts is someone will mod the whole Skyrim into Starfield on one of its planets. I can't wait, Paul. I think I'm more excited. I think I'm more excited for someone to take Starfield and literally turn it into Star Wars. You know what's happening. You know people, day one, as soon as it launches, we're going to have a story like a year from now. When it launches September, we'll talk about it like June of next year and be like, one guy created a whole mod of you could be Han Solo in Star Wars. And he'd be like, this looks amazing. I'd like to make an exciting announcement. You can now play Skyrim on your ship's computer in Starfield. And the DLC is priced at $60. That would be amazing. You could play Skyrim in your computer in Starfield. That's big brain moves right there, Akuda. That's big brain moves right there. You get in your ship, you pull up to a thing, and you can literally play the entire game of Skyrim on your navigation computer inside of Starfield. Mind blown. You know they're going to do it. You know they're going to do it. Someone's going to do it. They're going to make a mod of the game inside the game. Would be sick if they had an open source mod maker set up like Ark Survival involved. I watched Chapter 8 came in yesterday and pointed me towards the Lance Freeman. Is that what is Lance? What is his name? I forget what his name is. Lance Freeman? Is that what it was? And I watched it yesterday. Let me go to my history. And I watched it yesterday. Yeah, Freeman. Okay. And I thought it was a really good interview. I thought it was a really good interview with Todd. 2 hours and 44 minutes. I watched it at 1.5 speed. I like Todd. I know Todd gets a lot of shit, man, but it's nice to hear where he came from and what he did to inspire to get to where he is. And his mentality of what the games that he makes. Right? Like you hear him talk about how he wants everything to, like when you're in the world, he makes people like reactive. So they're like, hey man, you look good and stuff like that around the thing. And you start to feel like you're part of the world. They have people that just interior decorators that go around and make sure everything looks and feels, and they don't want to overwhelm you with so many things that you pick up. It's amazing. I mean, as a gamer looking at Starfield, we can look at it and go, it's gonna be shit. Don't like the story, graphics, choppy, whatever. But if you like literally sit there and listen to what he's saying, and then when you look at when it comes out, and this is not just on Starfield, I mean, there's other games out there like Cyberpunk and stuff. It's just super impressive what they have done in the video game space. I said this a couple days ago. Like, it's just amazing to me that we went from Atari 2600 or Pong to having an open world sandbox RPG where you can be who you want, create a spaceship, and travel the galaxy, right? And it's absolutely mind blowing. And we're just like, it's not running 60 frames per second. It's trash. And it's like, is it though? Inception movie files copyright suit on Bethesda. He owned the meta game. His game bullshit. I play through Elder Scrolls 4 about it once a year. It's still an amazing game. I haven't gone back. I did when I bought my computer 6 years ago. It came with my system, and I uploaded it. And I was like, man, this still looks amazing. What's going on, Lurker? Regular Arc sucks. Arc with mods is incredible good. Like 5,000 hours, so good. I had a mosquito bite me. Weird. Freaking itchy, man. Oblivion follower, and then looked up the announcement from them about followers in Starfield. They're going to be millions of murderers very quickly. I love Todd, but I also think he's a little detached from reality in a nice way. I think he makes the PR mistakes, but who really gives a shit about that? Got personality. Yeah, I think the way, though. Did you watch that interview, Hilly? Did you see the interview with Lex? I know we watched a little bit of it yesterday, if you saw that. But his personality and like what he talks about with the game and how he wants to make the game, I think is impressive. I mean, I would love to interview them, but I know I'm a nobody. I would love to just sit down. I like some of the questions Lex asked him. Nice little conversation back and forth. But just the mindset that he has to make this type of game and what he wants to do in it, I don't know. I'm impressed by it. I'm impressed solely, and obviously, I'm going to get it. Why, chat? Why am I going to get Starfield? We all know the answer. Put it in chat. Anyone know where I can get the control glyph? I have no idea. I don't even know. Can you get certain glyphs? Is it in a certain area to get glyphs, Stealth? I don't know. I haven't gone in depth for Diablo. That's right, Sarge. That's right, Sarge. It's on Game Pass. Yeah, Lurker. 100%. You watch a lot of interviews with people that are in the software industry, and they're just awkward, man. They're awkward, and it's nothing that they can do. They just know that they sit behind a computer and do stuff, but when they have to talk about their game, they get very, like, it's good. I like it. Right? Todd, he's that rock star. He's that rock star person that can come out in front and talk about the game and passionately. In the interview, Todd says if in an alternate universe, he would be making sports games. He actually made when he first got with Bethesda, they were making sports games, and he said I would make like an ultimate like college game. He loves sports games, and that was interesting to me. I was like, wow, like all the games that he makes. He says he loves sports games. Well, I pulled the trigger, and I'll see you in the ring. We're gonna watch the review of AEW, Super Dave. Let's do that now. Let's do that now. This is coming from Gamebolt. The name is in the description down below. Give them credit for this. Let's take a look at the AEW review. AEW review. We will be playing AEW tomorrow night in place of Generation X Gaming because the podcast is still down. Me and Starter playing some Division 2 tonight. I can't stream the game tonight because it's still under the embargo. You can do reviews, but you can't show gameplay, like live gameplay or Let's Plays or anything like that. until 1 a.m. tonight. So it'll be tomorrow. So we're going to watch the Gaming Bolt review of AEW Fighting Forever. I can give you my thoughts. I did play a couple of and scrummage around the game. So after the review, I'll give you my thoughts on it. There is a review here. Just showing you gameplay.
Much like in the real world, pro wrestling in video games has been more or less dominated by a singular company, WWE. Predictably, this has, over time, led to a general lack of choice when it comes to big 3D wrestling games. Outside of a few smaller titles like Fire Pro Wrestling World and MDicky titles like Wrestling Empire, pro wrestling fans have had little in the way of options aside from the yearly WWE releases. Sure, the last couple of games, WWE 2K22 and WWE 2K23, have generally been of a higher quality than the majority of WWE games we got in the last.
I have to say, I kind of like the art style of the game. It reminds me of the NWO, WCW days, Revenge and stuff like that. So I like that they didn't go for the hyper-realism.
Decade. They've still been rather dull compared to the older titles, like WWE Here Comes the Pain on the PS2, or No Mercy on the Nintendo 64. Rival upstart company All Elite Wrestling popped up in 2019 to offer some competition to WWE Pro Wrestling, and the company seems keen to do the same in the video game space as well. After spending around 4 years in development, AEW Fight Forever is finally here, and much like AEW shows, the game also hopes to offer a true alternative to WWE's games.
The animations I like are good.
Where the much larger WWE games tend to feature higher fidelity graphics and gameplay that sometimes gets quite close to realism, AEW Fight Forever instead has opted for a stylized visual style and fast arcadey gameplay. How well did this risk pay off? Let's get the most obvious thing out of the way. AEW Fight Forever isn't the most high-fidelity wrestling game out there, even if you compare it to some of the WWE games from the mid-2010s. AEW's outing looks more like it would be a late-era PS2 or an early PS3 release. This is largely due to the fact that developer Yuke's has foregone photorealistic models for the game's roster,
I'm okay with that.
Has instead gone for a more exaggerated look for all of the game's wrestlers. While it may make the game look rather low-end from the outset, the art style the studio decided to go with adds quite a bit to the fast-paced, arcade-like gameplay of AEW Fight Forever. However, the gameplay in AEW Fight Forever might just be some of the finest pro wrestling gameplay since the old days of playing WWE SmackDown. Here Comes the Pain back on the PS2. The game manages to have an incredibly simple control scheme that doesn't take more than 5 minutes to figure out, but the options it allows in strike combos, grappling, and reversals go a long way in adding a lot of depth to the title's frantic matches, with little more than a button each for punches, kicks, grapples, running, and reversals. AEW Fight Forever is able to present an incredibly easy-to-understand control scheme that slowly opens.
Yeah, so what he's saying right now, it's super easy to pick up. Super easy to pick up, right? Lots of fun, but it's also really hard to master, right? I'll do a comparison. The card game I played yesterday, the Circuit Superstars, simple, easy game to pick up, right? But if you really want to get that game to know what you're doing, it's really hard to master. It looks simplistic, it looks cheesy or whatnot, but the game itself is a really ground-based. This is what I feel about this game as well. When I started playing this game, the controls are super easy to pick up. Lots of customizations. I'm sure he'll talk about it. I haven't watched this video. Lots of customizations. The move sets are pretty easy, but at the same time, like hard to master. And I think it's really cool.
opens up, the more you start experimenting with pressing different buttons in different situations. Of course, this means that the game's stacked roster also allows for quite a bit of uniqueness in each moveset, transitioning a simple grapple into a complicated submission hold while playing as Bryan Danielson, or putting your hands in your pockets as Orange Cassidy to trigger his sloth-style moveset, is well within character for each of these wrestlers, and the simple control system makes emulating real matches from AEW's big shows quite intuitive. Various members of the game's roster also have unique quirks to their moveset, allowing them to further embody their real-world equivalent. For example, the villainous MJF can pretend to grovel on the ground as a counter to an attack, quickly poking their opponent in the eyes when they've let their guard down. When it comes to match types, AEW Fight Forever offers quite a decent lineup, be it regular singles or tag team matches, or more complicated match types like the exploding barbed wire deathmatch or
crazy.
the battle royale match. Every match
This match, my son was laughing so hard when we were having it. So when you throw someone up against the barbed wire, okay, it like you get electrocuted and it sparks, and that timer at the bottom of the screen, when it ends, the ring explodes. Okay, it's hilarious.
type in the game ends up having unique mechanics that can be played around with, from usable weapons in no DQ matches to whipping your opponents into exploding barbed wire in the aforementioned match types. The extra mechanics work well with every wrestler's moveset, and even some weapons end up having special mechanics. For example, finding a skateboard under the ring means you can pull off sick jumps and flips. Finding a fire extinguisher lets you spray on your opponent's face. The list goes on and on. Despite the game's mid-tier visual fidelity, AEW Fight Forever is filled to the brim with tiny details.
Can I say, though, he says mid-tier, and I know he's saying, and he said it in a good way, but are we this spoiled? Are we this spoiled? Like, it has to look real? Like, this looks good to me. I don't know what people are talking about when they're like, this is mid-tier. This looks good to me.
Details that can bring a smile to any pro wrestling fan. For example, get poked in the eye and your movement controls get screwed up, since your wrestler can't see for a few seconds.
That's
Several
awesome.
wrestlers can pull off surprise moves from the ground, like quick roll-up pins or a surprise power move as the start of a comeback. There are also quite a few goodies hidden in the in-game shop, which can only be unlocked by earning in-game cash by playing matches or by going through the career mode. Speaking of career mode, AEW Fight Forever emulates the one from the classic No Mercy. You pick a wrestler, either one from the game's core roster or a custom-made one, and go through various events in a full AEW calendar year. Along the way, you'll find yourself in various feuds, sometimes over championships, and both winning and losing take you down completely separate branching paths. As you move on through big events in the career mode, you also get a look back at AEW's real-world history, complete with real footage, showcasing some of the biggest moments and matches in the company's first few years. Wrestling matches and taking part in mini-games also gets you skill points and money. The money can be used to buy instant quick buffs, while the skill points, usable only on custom wrestlers, can be spent to improve your wrestler's stats and abilities. In fact, going through the career mode is the only way you can improve a custom wrestler's capabilities. And if you want any hope of beating Jon Moxley in a singles match with your custom wrestler on the elite difficulty setting, you'll want to get some skill points.
That's cool. So you have to play the career mode to get your wrestler up to unlock certain moves. You unlock different maneuvers. Like when you have the game, when you create your game, Jack Burton incoming. Okay, Jack Burton only has one move set, right? You can unlock 3 other move sets. You can also unlock other cosmetics and stuff, in-game currency. So when you win a match or lose a match, you get in-game currency. The more moves you do, the better things you do during the match, you get graded. With the graded, you actually get cash in the game, and then you take that cash and you unlock stuff from the other move sets that you can do or taunts that you can do, which I think is pretty neat.
First, a full playthrough of the career mode also brings new items in the in-game shop that can be unlocked, like match types and mini-games. Unfortunately, not everything.
The mini games are garbage. It's so out of place, but it's still in the game.
Is sunshine and rainbows in AEW Fight Forever, and the game definitely has more than a couple of problems, which largely stem from it being an attempt at this sort of game in a long time. The biggest complaint I personally had is the lack of online community creations for custom creations. Modern
That's mine as well. The customizations, lackluster. Very lackluster on the customizations of what you can put on your guy or make him look. There's like preset stuff. The old one, you can make them look however you wanted.
WE Games let you share or download wrestlers, championship belts, and arenas through its online features, an option that AEW Fight Forever sorely lacks. There's also a lack of real tag teams, with big names like FTR being absent until the first wave of DLC hits the game. Some might also find the lack of complete entrance animations a bad thing, but as someone who mostly ends up skipping them after the first couple of matches anyway, I never really saw it as much of a problem. AEW Fight Forever feels like a return to form for pro wrestling games, long mired in the depths of attempted simulation for the sake of realism. The genre has mostly been monopolized by a singular franchise. With the release of AEW Fight Forever, however, we finally have a decent alternative for those among us who are more interested in the fast-paced, almost fighting game-esque gameplay of the WWE games of the past. That's all for now. If you enjoy...
Yeah, so... The customization is the least favorite part of the game for me. When I was trying to make my character, there's only like, I think about 6 preset faces that you can do. There's like 10 hairstyles you can do. It's not a customization. Now, Travis made a good point the other day in Discord, or I forget if it was in chat. He said that, well, this is their first attempt, right? And I get that. So I'll let them slide. The actual game itself is fun. It's a lot of fun. The move sets that you get and the different moves, there's tons and tons and tons and tons of different moves that you can do. Either general moves or other wrestler moves. There's lots of different game modes that you could do. I thought the career mode's good. Even in exhibition, when you're fighting, your guy has a record at the bottom. So it'll show you your record. It'll show you, like, so if you do an exhibition, or if you do a online match, or if you do a career mode, it gives your guy a career, like your total career of what their record is based on when you play them. Yes, you could do a run down the ramp, fight on the ramp, even do tricks off with the skateboard. Yeah, it's very cool. Oh, and when you get tossed out of the ring and you like slam into the boards and stuff like that, it's just so many little I call them quality of life stuff from back in the day of the old wrestling games. Again, I'm okay with it not looking like the WWE realistic stuff. Now, I'm coming into this game. I know nothing about AEW wrestling. Never watched one frame of AEW wrestling. I used to film wrestling. I've worked with lots of wrestlers. I know a lot of the wrestlers. Okay, so I'm intrigued with the wrestling game, but I don't know anything about AEW. Never seen it. So there's people I know, and there's people I have no idea who they are. But I'm excited to play the game. We're going to be playing it tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Start. So if you guys are getting it early, or if you want to hold off, you want to see the actual gameplay and get our actual thoughts while we're playing the game, wait till tomorrow night. And then if you guys have the game, if you do buy the game, and you want to play with us, me and Sarge will play, and then you guys can come in as well. We'll do like a tag team match. We'll do a Royal Rumble match, whatever you do. As far as, there's 60 wrestlers. I believe there's 60 wrestlers in the game right now. Plus, you can make your customized wrestlers as well. And then they have a season pass. Let me bring this up. I think it's they have like a season pass going on. AEW Fight. Let's see. They have their website? Yeah. So they have their arcade field, 10 plus game modes. Okay. You got 10 different game modes, match types, including single, tag team, 3-way, 4-way, ladder, casino battle royale, all counts anywhere, unsanctioned, lights out, exploding barbed wire, death, plus online modes as well. You have customization. Do they have? Yeah, okay. So if you do the Elite Edition, okay, it comes with Matt Hardy DLC. It comes with a Fight Forever Season Pass. They have different wrestlers. So you got 2, 4, 6 wrestlers coming in, and then you get the game. So total, you get Matt Hardy's both characters. So that's 2. And you get the 2. So you get 8 more characters on top of that. That would bring it up to 67, 68 if you count Matt Hardy as as part of it. So I don't know. I think it's pretty good. I had a blast playing for the little I played. I can't show you it, otherwise I would. The embargoes are lifted for review process, but I can't show or let's play the game until 1 a.m. tonight. So I think AEW, when wrestlers' name shows up on the TV, it shows the actual wrestler recorded in the company, so it makes sense for the game to have it too. I will be buying Fight Forever on Steam tomorrow. Having the option to play it on my PC and also the Steam Deck will be great. Also, PC mod community will do amazing things. Oh, I didn't even think about that, Xander. I didn't even think about that. Just wanted to play it with my wife Jade and create my own wrestler. Get Matt Hardy as a pre-order later. You get the FTR in the first pack later, and Hook. Other wrestlers on Twitter have confirmed that they have been scanned for the game after the season pass wrestlers. There you go. And obviously, if it's, I got the code for free. So, but if I'm having a lot of fun with the game, the DLCs come out, I will purchase the DLCs to play with those characters as well. I think it's gonna be fun. I think we can have a good community night with this. If you guys like the wrestling game and you guys have it, we can have a member stream like on Friday nights or on the weekends, whatever, if people want to play. I feel like the rest of the game must be played on console. I don't know if is it cross-platform? I don't know if it's cross-platform. They don't have a FAQ. Let me see. Is AEW Fight cross-platform, cross-status explained 2 days ago? Very long awaited, incredible, excited. AEW for anticipated wrestler fans ever since the initial teaser featuring Kenny Omega. Fans back to Golden Era, no mercy, fun, chaotic gameplay. AEW Forever crossplay. Kenny Omega has said that the AEW Fight Forever video game will have crossplay and cross-platform multiplayer. The game during the interview with the Wrestler Observer Radio is back in 2022, where Kenny Omega has also talked about Cody Rhodes being a Wrestler of the Year. Unfortunately, all Kenny Omega said that this is going to be cross-platform and the online component where you can create your own lobby and things like that and have fun with friends. Omega didn't go into detail about how crossplay would work, and sadly, the last we've officially heard from cross-platform multiplayer in the game. However, Pounding the Meat podcast has posted a Twitter that supports will be added to future patch. So apparently, at least for launch, looking for the cross-platform between console and computer isn't possible, but PC does have crossplay between storefronts. Angry Joe streamed a preview of the game on Twitch, and the in-game message when using AEW says that the game supports crossplay between all PC storefronts. So it's cross-play PC storefronts, but it's not cross-play. So if you're on console and console, PC and PC. So if you're on Epic or Steam or wherever you're getting the game from, it's crossplay for PC. It doesn't seem like it's crossplay with PC and console. The platforms of AEW Forever video game is coming out on PlayStation, PC, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. The last and current gen, meaning you can play the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Series XS. The official confirmation on whether or not cross-gen multiplayer, meaning PlayStation 4 can play with PlayStation 5, and the same for Xbox One with Xbox Series X and S. As for PC, it's available on Steam. Judging on Angry Joe's Twitch stream, you will need the Epic Games account to cross-play between PC and storefronts. The release date is June 29th. Wish to play the early access on June 28th. It's only possible on PlayStation and Xbox if you buy the Elite Edition. There's also a fairly hefty roster list at launch, and also includes superstars such as CM Punk, Jade, MJ. How do you pronounce it? Is it just pronounced MJF? Is that how you pronounce it? It doesn't seem like there's a cross-play. Last current gen, you can play PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS Atlas. No official confirmation whether you can do cross-gen multiplayer, meaning PlayStation 4 and PlayStation with PlayStation 5, and the same for Xbox One with Xbox Series XS. Oh, I think what they're saying, Water, is you can play on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X, but there's no official confirmation on whether there's cross-gen, meaning You could play PlayStation 5 against Xbox Series X and S, but you can't play with PlayStation 4 to 5? Is that the way I'm getting it? Maxwell Jacob Friedman. But MJF. Okay. Again, I don't know the wrestlers because I haven't played, so there's a lot of wrestlers I don't know. Right? Is that the way? That's the way I'm getting it, right? I think if you get on the next gen, you can play with other next gen people, PlayStation 5, obviously, and Xbox Series X and S, but you can't play with people on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, right? No crossplay to other platform owners. PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 only, same for Xbox. Oh, so it's only PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 and Xbox to Xbox. That's not the way I'm reading it, though. It says, let me read it again. It is the last and current gen, meaning you can play on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series S and X. At last, there's no official confirmation on whether there is cross-gen multiplayer, meaning PlayStation 4 can play with PlayStation 5, and same for Xbox One with Xbox Series X and S. That's a bad move if I can't play online with other people from another console, crossplay. That's a shame. You know what? I'm going to turn it on real fast. I want to see if... Does it give you an option for... Does it say crossplay or anything on it? What I just read? Okay. I can't show you it. You can't. They confirmed it yesterday in the Q&A. Can you not do it at all or not yet? Yeah, it doesn't look like you can do it. Yeah. There's nothing. Give us a sneak peek? I can't. Otherwise, I would, Super Dave. I would. Hold on one second. I'm just trying to... What did I want to do? I want to look at the stats. I didn't want to look at that. I want to look at something else as well. I don't know what version they gave me. It's probably just the standard version. I don't know if I got like okay, we got... Oh yeah, they gave me the edition with Jeff Hardy. I did make Jack Burton. It's the closest I can make Jack Burton. You guys will see it tomorrow. Once again, this is all Game Pass's fault. That sucks. That's not crossplay. Send me a Discord, DM on Discord. Okay, hold on. General questions. All right. General questions. Fight Forever, pre-release QA questions. What time will the game be released? We don't need that. When does the review embargo lift? I already know that. Will Matt Hardy be available to all players post-launch? There's limited time. The DLC is released on release day is June 29th. If you pre-order the PlayStation 5 version, you also get on the PlayStation 4 release, vice versa. You can also upgrade the PlayStation 4 to 5 version. Yes, but other round. Where is... What the fuck happened to crossplay? So you guys want to explain how one of the main things that was supposed to make it into the game didn't get it. Is anything launching? Where are the plans of putting it in later? Also, I'm guessing no rollback netcode since you lied about. Is that where I'm supposed to look? Do they answer that? Click this. Okay. Engine used to create AEW Fight Forever Unreal Engine 4 will permanently connection to play. The game will be moddable. If so, the game is strong customization mode. Therefore, THQ does not officially support modding. The game also has crossplay between consoles and PC. We don't support crossplay between different consoles and PC. There's a cross generation, which means PlayStation 4 can play with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X can play with Xbox One. Will the game have crossplay between different PC platforms, i.e. the game is only available on Steam for now? So you can't even get it on Epic or GOG. How many players can you play at the same time? Just about around 4 players. There'll also be ultra-wide support, field of view. Requirements does the game have? You can find the PC settings there. That would be crazy if it had VR support. The game available on Linux or Mac systems. There's no support for Linux or Mac at this point. Whoopi Goldberg's going to be pissed. I'm a big fan of AEW wrestling, and they told me it was going to... will AEW have dedicated servers and multiplayer structure, multiplayer connections to peer-to-peer? There'll be graphics settings in console versions like frame rate, quality, resolution. No. And the Steam Deck support. We're working on getting a Steam Deck verification. Quick questions. Let's see. Post-launch. Will content be added for post-launch? We already have a kind of roadmap which highlighted through the Season Pass Elite Edition, but more to come. You can also play a friend against the AI. Yes. Yeah, you could play... Here's another thing. You could play just AI versus AI. So let's say I wanted to make Dave Rose a character in the game. Then I could have Dave Rose go up against 30 and Still Gaming, and we can see who wins. You know what I mean? Like, type of thing. That might be fun to do, right? Might be fun to do. It's a shame. It's a shame that there's not an online community where you can make your character and then share it on the web, and then you can download that. You know what I mean? That would have been cool, just like the old ones. But hey, it is what it is. Let's see. Can be blood turned off. Blood turned off. Come on. Make Gletsky's head bleed. Shorten entrance. We'll be able to customize a roster attire. Yes, you can. They have regular theme song. Option to create custom matches. No. The achievement to all platforms with the expedition of the Twitch. Can championships be defended online? Championships cannot be defended online, but can be defended in an offline game mode for online matches. You can also improve your player ranking by winning matches. There are leaderboards for each season. Any player currently in the top 100 of the player ranking leaderboard of their platform will earn the rank of legend. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, we just read that, though. Rose, that there was a interview back in 2022 of Kenny Omega saying it, but since that time, him saying it, there's been no if it's coming later. They just say there's no crossplay. So hopefully that interview that he did in 2022, a lot could happen though from when he said it to what's happening now. Have exhibition. There's a limited how many custom characters I can have saved at once. Up to 100 custom wrestlers can be saved at once. That's crazy. So you can have 100 custom characters, plus the 60, plus the other 8. So you can have 168 characters in this game. I think that's good. That's great. You can actually do that, Water. You can actually, when you make a wrestler, you can pin it. Not pin it. You can pick like the wrestler's moves, like how you want them to wrestle and stuff like that. Well, if the mod community goes crazy and I enjoy the game, I mean, I got the free code, so I'll purchase it then for the PC. 'Cause that would be great. All right, let's go to the next story because EA's Iron Man game will use the Unreal Engine 5. A new job listing suggests that EA new Iron Man game will be using the Unreal Engine 5 over the Frostbite engine. The job listing found on the EA website is it for software developer. And also the new Iron Man game, which the description reads, will be developed by the Unreal Engine 5, requiring qualifications for the role, including proficiency with the Unreal Engine 5 audio system, including working with audio components, audio graphics, sound cues, and Unreal Blueprints visual scripting. First announced in September of 2022, Motive Studios. EA revealed that there's also an all-new single-player, third-person action-adventure Iron Man game is now early development at Montreal-based Motive Studios. Inside Gaming understands that it's already been a playtesting and seeing what the players want from the Iron Man game. It is understood that the production is going well, and the game has officially entered production in February of 2023. But we won't see this game till 2026. I would say the earliest. Maybe that's 3. Or 2028, basically. So it's going to be a while, I think, before we see this Iron Man game. That was a quick update, or story, I should say. What else we got? We got one more. This one came out. This is interesting. I'm interested in this. I always talk about how I would not buy remasters, but I did say I would buy one remaster. That remaster would be Red Dead Redemption 1 if they redid it. So, take it with a grain of salt, but Red Dead Redemption rated in Korea in 2023, remaster version on the way? Question mark. So, Administrator Committee in Korea published a new rating for Red Dead Redemption on June 15th. A new rating carries a classification number in Korea game ratings and refers to a console game, while NP refers to PC games. Though the console rating does not exclude the existing of PC versions or vice versa, Red Dead Redemption first launched on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on May 18th, 2010. A PC port remastered version of the newer platforms were never released. Ratings for the original PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, Undead Nightmare Collection, PlayStation 3 and 360, a Game of the Year edition version of Red Dead Redemption existed in Korea prior to the new rating. Developer Rockstar has not announced a remastered version of Red Dead Redemption, but the rating could indicate one is planned. Who knows? Who knows? So, take it with a grain of salt. Never been a big fan of remaster games. Me either, Super Dave. But I said if there was one game, because someone asked me a question, is there a game that they could do to remaster that you would be interested? Okay, and I was like, Red Dead Redemption. I would take a remaster of Red Dead Redemption. I would like the graphics they did for Red Dead 2 in Red Dead Redemption. That would be the only game I really care about as a remaster. Go on, Mo. Mike. You know what day it is? Wednesday. A Geico commercial. That's right. It's hump day. PlayStation 5 collection of Red Dead Redemption games. I'll get back to you on that one. I love Red Dead Redemption. One of my favorite games leading up to it. Like 2010, between 2010 and 2012, I played Red Dead Redemption and Mass Effect 2, and I was just blown away by both those games. It's Game Pass Day. If they use Red Dead Redemption 2's engine, would it be a remake? Maybe. I don't know. Would that be a remake? If they use the engine... Well, the engine, though, Paul, is a newer engine. It's just an upscaled version of the old engine, right? They've changed it over the years. So if they redid it, I guess that would be a remake. Remaster would just bring it up visually. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. If it's a remastered, then they would just upscale the graphics of it, but they wouldn't use the engine of it. But the engine's the same. What do you think about Avatar Frontiers Pandora? They're using the Division engine. I wish you could do third person. They do third person when you're flying on the beast, but when you're on the ground, it's first person. It looks good, but it doesn't look great, Big Bobby. Like, I'm not going to say it's like dog shit or anything like that, right? In any way, shape, or form. I'm interested in the game, but I want to know more about it. Is if it's the last one I played was in like in 2011 or 2012, and it was okay. It was okay. I remember renting it from was it GameFly, I think, at the time, right? And it was good. I mean, if they're using the Division engine, which is isn't it the Snowdrop? No, not Snowdrop. What's the engine they use at Division? I forget what it's called now. Snowdrop, isn't it? No, Snowdrop is. Man, I can't remember which. My mind just went blank. It is Snowdrop, right? Yeah, I mean the engine that they use for Division is fantastic. So if they're using it for Pandora, I'm okay with it. I like Massive. Right? Does Massive make Pandora, or they're just using the engine? Who makes that one? Who is making that? Engine Snowdrop, developer. Yeah, it's Massive. Massive. I mean, I think it'll be good. It doesn't look great, but I think it looks good. When's that game coming out? Do they have an actual date? Release date, December 7th, 2023. Avatar Pandora is an upcoming open-world action-adventure game based on the Avatar film series. The game is being developed by Massive Entertainment and will be published by Ubisoft and PlayStation 5, Windows, and Xbox Series XS. Isn't there an exclusivity with that game on PlayStation, or did they just show it? Does it come out on PlayStation first, or does it come out on all systems at the same time? Avatar Collector's Edition of the game is exclusive at GameStop, and it is coming out for everybody. It is coming out for everybody. It's only on the next gen systems, though. Just showed at PlayStation. Okay, it's coming out on all the systems, though, or next gen systems, which is a smart choice. You gotta drop the other one. It's 11 years. It's 11 years. You gotta drop it. Here, this is the gameplay from 2 weeks ago. Here, we'll just look at it. I mean, graphically, I think it looks good. I don't think it's great, but I'm interested in playing the game and see what it is. When you look at this as an action adventure game, you feel like it's going to be like a Horizon Forbidden West type of game, right? I mean, that's what it seems like. I wish it wasn't first person, though. Only when you ride on animals does it go to third person. I kind of wish they put you into third person mode. At least give the option to me. Was I mistaken? I could have sworn there was supposed to be an Avatar game that was an MMO, where you could be the humans or you could be the avatars. Am I wrong on that? Was there supposed to be the Avatar game? And obviously this is not the one, but I could have sworn there was an Avatar online game happening. Am I misinformed about that? Did it get canceled? I feel like this game was supposed to be on VR. That's why they chose it first person. Worth a check out because Avatar franchise is heading in a great direction. Saw the latest movie and was actually surprised how good it was. Yeah, it was really good. I know the Avatar mobile game. I could have sworn there was a Avatar MMO in production. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Avatar Reckoning. Now, I don't know if it got canceled or not. This article comes back from October of 2022. Avatar franchise is making strides of breaking into gaming space. Avatar Frontiers Pandora is an upcoming open-world action-adventure-based game for James Cameron's Avatar film, and the game is currently under development in Ubisoft Entertainment. But there's another game that is being developed as a result of partnership between Disney and Tencent. Archsorcerer Games. Avatar Reckoning is an ambitious MMORPG title in the coming to Android, and that's the mobile one. That's what you're talking about. I didn't know it was an iOS game where there's several against Resource Development Administration troops looking to exploit resources. Okay, players will be able to experience the content in solo or co-op or dynamic multiplayer patches. Multiple multiplayer dungeon raids will shape up a core part of MMORPG experience. We cannot wait to see how the game turns out. That's an MMO. Oh God. So basically, they just made Marvel Future Revolution, but freaking Avatar. Basically, what they just did here. That's gonna suck. A big one. Mobile. Come on, bro. I can't play mobile games. I refuse to play on a screen this size. And I have the giant phone. Okay? I refuse to play it. But I think it got canceled. Didn't they cancel it? I could have sworn I heard something. I thought they canceled the mobile one. Let's see. Canceled? Closed beta test will last for 35 days starting on June 2023. As we registered to be a tester, you'll receive an email. Oh. Well, you guys can sign up. Let's see. I'm gonna sign up right now. Let's sign up right now. I can't. I don't want to play it, but if I can sign up for it, I will. Let's see. We can get it. We cannot provide email address. Okay, we'll see if we get it. Sign up for what? The Avatar MMO on the cell phone. An MMO RPG shooter game on mobile. They're doing a beta test right now. Trying to see if we have anything else to talk about here. We talked about PlayStation. We talked about the what Jim Ryan said about the claims the publishers are anonymously dislike Xbox Game Pass. We talked about Final Fantasy. We talked about Iron Man. We talked about Diablo. Or we didn't talk about Diablo. We talked about Red Dead Redemption. We talked about just Final Fantasy in general, about the sales total. Went down that rabbit hole. We looked at the review for AEW Fight Forever. That's it today. Good stuff. You imagine trying to play Starfield on a small screen and you have a 75-inch 4K TV right in the living room. That's what I'm saying, Water. Like, there's certain games that if I'm on a mobile device, I'm in my house and I'm not playing on a mobile device. And if I'm in my house or if I'm on the road and I'm somewhere, I don't have time to play a mobile game. Like, here's the times that I can play a mobile game. Are you ready? I go to the doctor's office for my annual checkup, right? I go to the dentist, the eye doctor. It's one of those things. Otherwise, I'm not sitting in a room somewhere, right? I don't stand in line. I don't go somewhere to stand there and go, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play video games. Like, I don't go to a restaurant with my kid and my wife and then pull out my phone and go, hold on a second, I'm going to play an MMO real quick. I don't do that. I know kids do. My son, perfect person, right? He's in the car. That old man checkup. That's right. Right? Like, other than that, I'm not sitting on a train personally, right? To commute to work. I'm not on a bus. Maybe when I go on vacation, right? I go on vacation in mid-July on an airplane for a couple of times. So I might pick up a plane and pick up the mobile device and play it. But I ain't gonna dive in hundreds of hours of time, right? Like, this is why I don't play mobile games. Even the shitty ones I don't play. Thanks, Lucker. Who's got time to play mobile games? If you're an adult, you don't commute to your work, you do not have time, right? Public transportation commute. Unless you have a Tesla and you're driving, you're like in the plane, right? Like, nobody has time to play these types of mobile games. The people that like the mobile games, they have a PC that they do the emulators on so they can play it. Insane. No one's playing these types of games. Cool. I mean, obviously, they're making a game because there's a clientele out there. Just not me. I refuse to play on a small screen while I'm like out in the middle of somewhere. I'm not sitting at the park with my kid while he's on the playground while I'm playing an MMO. We played Pokemon Go. That's about it. I played it when it first came out. Was it 2016 is when it first launched? We played it. Then I had that wizard moment, Paul. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I remember it was like 2000. It was right after it came out. We were in a car and we're driving, right? And we're going into a spot where the zones were, where you get to collect stuff. Like, what the fuck are we doing? We're driving somewhere to go play a video game so we can collect shit that we don't care about. I was like, no thanks. Yeah, it was weird when it first came out, man. People were going to the parks not to go to the park. They were going to the park so they could play so they could find Pokemon. Huge social areas and stuff like that. It's not working well out right now. The only mass areas that people are going to is for other reasons. Driving into the ocean for a Pokemon. Yeah, just driving over here. Just trying to get a Pikachu. Parks at 3 a.m. and be like the only ones there, and not be the only ones there. Yeah, it's crazy. There's a shopping plaza by us. To this day, you'll see people just walking up and down because there's so many shopping stores and whatnot. It's like an outside mall type of thing. And you'll see people just on their phones, and they're still playing the game. They're still playing some type of game. I don't know if they're playing Pokemon, but definitely see them. There's so many games out there now. They're probably playing like the Minecraft one, if that's still out, or the Pokemon one, or the Harry Potter one, or whatever. They're all over the place. There's a Transformers one, I think, now, if I'm not mistaken. It's just funny. All right. That's going to do it for us today. I do appreciate you guys coming out. We talked about a lot of different topics. If you like this, please come back. We're here Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Join us for some Division 2. We're doing the next Manhunt mission. Me and Sarge are playing. Anybody else that wants to play with us, you're more than welcome to join us as we do the next chapter in the Manhunt. Other than that, I do appreciate it very much. Make sure you go watch our other past broadcasts that we've done. If you like it, if you missed anything, hit that comment, hit the like button, say something. If you like to hit above and beyond that, go to the subscription button. It's absolutely free. If there's someone in chat right now, I think there's an unclaimed Stealth Gaming gave a membership out, gifted membership, and I don't think it got claimed. I don't know if someone can opt in. If you don't have a green name, you can get a free membership by one of our mods. He was very kind enough to give a gifted membership. So if you do not have a gifted membership or have a membership, you can opt in for that. But you have to opt in. I don't know how you do it because I'm a brand account and I can't get those. So appreciate your time. And I'll see you guys tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern for some Division 2. Peace.